there was no sign of a Semitic presence at all. But inscriptions were then discovered, suggesting that Pi-Ramesses was built on top of an older city called Avaris. If they could find it, then maybe they could find Joseph.
We know from ancient sources that Avaris must be located in the south of Pi-Ramesse, of the former capital of Ramses. So the excavators who were searching for Avaris, they started in the south, and they finally discovered it and could attach the name Avaris to the things we were excavating.
Now, excavations are gradually revealing the secrets of Avaris. It was built 300 years before Pi-Ramesses, just when Joseph was thought to have lived, and its ruins reveal tantalizing clues to a Semitic presence. Although most of the buildings were Egyptian in style, one area was distinctly Canaanite. But the most compelling evidence of a Semitic presence came from inside the houses. These bodies were found buried in sideways postures, a typically Canaanite tradition. And objects found inside the burial pits left archaeologists in no doubt.
We have a lot of Canaanite shapes, like the jugs here, combined with Egyptian shapes, like the small vessel here. We find sometimes weapons attached to the tombs, like this sword. It's made of bronze. And then with the same tomb comes a belt in very fragile condition, which the male burial had around his hip. So we have always the mixture of both cultures.
These finds are consistent with the Bible's claim that Semites settled in the Nile Delta, but only poor Semites, perhaps slaves. None of it indicated that someone of Joseph's status, a high-ranking pharaonic official of Semitic origin, had lived there. But further finds at Avaris suggest that archaeologists are closing in on that elusive evidence. The excavations have since been returned to agricultural use, but not before extensive plans and photographic records were made. David Roll, a specialist in biblical and ancient history, examined, then reconstructed part of the site.
In this field, they found a very special monument. This is what's left of it. It's actually the floor of a palace. It's not a huge palace, it's not a royal palace, but it's a very, very high-quality villa of some high official. Reconstructed, you can see how complex it is. There are various elements to it, built at different times. The main part here, the audience chamber and main bedroom, is fronted by a 12-columned portico. Then later on was added this twin suite, if you like, of rooms with another portico in front, which enclosed then this courtyard.
This small palace looked like the home of a high-ranking official. But it was a find at the back of the palace that most intrigued archaeologists. A tomb topped with a pyramid.
The tomb was over there, to the south of the palace, and one of the most interesting tombs was that of a dignitary with a tomb chapel. And inside this tomb chapel we found the rest of a tomb statue.
The statue had been vandalized, but when reassembled, it shocked the experts. This could not have been the statue of an Egyptian official.
When we get it back to the museum and restore it, it looks like this. And you can see that the head's been completely smashed, the lower part of the head, and the eyes have been gouged out. But the most important thing is this. It's an amazing haircut. We don't see anything like that in Egypt before this time. And the hair colour is bright red. This guy had flame red hair.
The other details were typical of Semitic people.
Another little detail is the skin colour. Here we can see the forehead, and this here is yellow skin. And that's typical of what the Egyptians did to represent foreigners from the north, people with pale skin.
It wasn't just on the hair and face that paint was found. Flakes of red and black paint were found on the outline of a garment, and with it, a distinctive pattern. With these statue fragments, David Rohl began to put together an artist's impression of what the figure may have looked like. Could this be Joseph? The absence of a nameplate means there's no way of knowing. But for David Rohl, there are no other contenders.
We have no other example of something quite as extraordinary as this. We have no pyramid tomb for an official of state. We have no other palace for a private individual. These sort of things are things reserved for royalty, usually. So this is extraordinary. We have no other examples to compare it to. But if you're trying to imagine the rewards of somebody who gave such service to Egypt, who saved it from the famine, you would expect these type of things to be given.
Joseph's remarkable tale is, of course, but the curtain raiser to an even more dramatic story. Moses and the Exodus. But there is, in the story of the flight of the Hebrews from Egypt, one final clue to the identity of this mysterious statue. Most Egyptian tombs were stripped of treasures, furniture, clothes, and jewelry. This tomb was no exception. But in this case, the bones were also taken away.
If a plunderer had gone in there to wreck the tomb, he would have left the bones behind. He wouldn't have taken the bones away. Bones don't have any intrinsic value. So somebody's removed the body from this tomb. Now, the story of Joseph is, at the time of Exodus, when Moses takes the Israelites out of Egypt, he takes the coffin of Joseph with him. So he would have left an empty tomb. So here we have a guy with a multicolored coat with an empty tomb. It's got to be Joseph.